We'll call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Transportation Committee. Today is Monday, December 12th. It's roughly 2 p.m. in the City Council chambers. I'm it for the committee today. My other two colleagues are indisposed, so we'll just go ahead and proceed. Detective Pitts, we have a few applicants for certificates of public necessity for conveyance this afternoon. Let's start with the first one, Birmingham Trolley Tours.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we have a new application for a jitney service, the Birmingham Trolley Tours, LLC. And their address is 6229 Jonathan's Way, Trussville.
Okay. So this is a little different than what we usually see. The jitney is operating on a fixed route. Do we have an idea where that route is going to be?
He hasn't submitted the route yet, but I'll make sure the committee
okay.
looks over it.
Yeah. So looks like he's making use of EJCTA's DARTs, the DART vehicles that they decommissioned?
Yes.
Be interesting to see where he's using that. Is Mr. Blank here?
He could not be here today. He had a meeting with the personnel board, so he sent an email last night, so he couldn't make it today.
All right.
All paperwork is in place.
Okay. All right. So because we don't have a quorum today, I'll have to advance that upon the recommendation of the chair.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on to the next one. Love Lift LLC.
Mr. Chairman, we have a new application for an executive sedan service. It's going to be Love Lift LLC. Address is 1430 Gaston Highway, Suite 116.
All right. So, Ms. Williams present? Hello.
How are you?
Doing well. So your application is for executive sedan service?
Yes.
All right. Want to tell us a little bit about your business?
I'm starting Love Lift because I've seen a need within the community. And basically what I want to do is just offer cost-effective transport to people in need for transportation.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so these, we hear these at the committee level, and then they move on from the committee with a recommendation to the full council. So it'll probably be another week or two before it gets to the council agenda.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. All right, Detective Pitts, one more. Safe, dependable care.
Mr. Chairman, we have a new application for a non-emergency medical service, Safe Dependable Care Corp. Their address is 5880 Washington Point, Hoover, Alabama.
All right. That is Charles Brown. Is Mr. Brown present? Yes, sir. Hi, Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
Non-emergency medical transportation. I'm retired military. I provide non-medical transportation service from ambulatory, wheelchair, and stretcher. I've done it for the last 20 years. New York, Columbia, South Carolina, Georgia, and we're trying to start a location here.
Excellent. Are all your vehicles equipped with the wheelchair lifts? And
Not all of them are wheelchair because some are completely ambulatory, but 90% of all our vehicles are wheelchair accessible.
Okay, all right. I appreciate you providing the pictures. Yeah, we actually don't see a whole lot of applicants with wheelchair accessible vehicles, so it's good. You're definitely filling a need there. So, all right, Detective Pitts, everything's in order?
Yes, sir. Everything is order.
All right, so this will get recommended to the full council and should appear on the agenda in a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next up on our agenda, item 6 is presentation from BJCTA, Charlotte Shaw.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we are happy to present today, and I actually talked to President Pro Temp, Councilor Wardeen, and the president, and she talked about maybe to us presenting in front of the city council as well, the whole chamber, on sometime in January.
Okay.
And so we have, as you know, had a challenge with our workforce shortage, especially our operators, bus operators and mechanics. But our bus operators, they directly affect or impact how many trips we can make, depending on the number of operators we have within a given day. And of course, we're down about 44 operators, and that's just on fixed route. Now, we've closed the gap on the paratransit, so we're much better. But today, just wanted to give you that background to talk about where we're going. And one of the reasons why we're moving toward some of microtransit is because, number one, it makes sense right now in this day and age. And then number two, it will help us with our efficiencies in terms of helping to move some drivers in some places where we need them most. And we found that our fixed route at night in the downtown area, which is your current via Zone 1, is heavily drops off at around 7 o'clock p.m. And so we've had those large buses in Zone 1 in the downtown area at 7 o'clock, but we don't have very many riders on there. So what that has allowed us to do was go into a partnership, which has been approved by our board of directors, with VIA for nighttime service, which makes sense because we're also trying to expand to get the entertainment district downtown and to get some of the entertainment district that's going on in the Lakeview area. And so we've expanded Zone 1 at night, and Watanji will go into those details with you and talk to you about what the zone includes and where we'll be going from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. And so that gives us an opportunity not only to continue to support our reliant riders, but we're looking for ways to expand so that we can get more people and more patrons who may just want to come to the downtown area or the surrounding Zone 1 area and not drive in the evenings. Okay, and this is from Monday through Saturday. All right, and I'll let Watanji go ahead and just talk to you about the expanded zone.
Good afternoon. My name is Watanji Peak Feeney, and I serve as the Senior Director of Planning and Development for the Birmingham-Jefferson County Transit Authority. Just kind of piggyback on what Director Shaw has spoken about, we have introduced a new nighttime zone for the City of Birmingham residents, and I think I sent over some stats to you. Okay. Well, we can update you on this information, but I want to talk a little bit about what VIA has shared with us for the first few nights of this service. The first few nights of this service we completed, there was 148 completed rides, 99 active rides who rode more than once over a period of time. 61 new accounts were launched, and they had an average wait time of 6 minutes with an average 2.9 trips per vehicle hour. And
6 minutes?
6 minute wait time, yes.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yes, and some of those high, they provide us a heat map. And when you look at the heat map, you see, we talked about the coverage and the expansion, looking at the nighttime zone. You have, this route goes, now this coverage goes always to Avondale. So it services the Lakeview District down by Pepper Place, and then, of course, like what Hattie B's is. And then we deviate over to 6th Avenue, then to 5th, to service more than 41st Street, kind of the pubs and nightlife there. And looking at this heat map, that's where a lot of the people are traveling. You got that. The south side is kind of sporadic, but I can share this with you all as well, but it's kind of sporadic, and it's interesting to see. I mean, just for those first 2 days, they gave us stats for and how phenomenal the service has been. So we still have a few things to do as far as the marketing and the branding. We're talking with Christina Argo and the team on this side about how that looks and how we want to make sure that everything is branded to be the city of Birmingham, and of course with Max Transit as well. So we're having those discussions so we can have this kind of like this app that'll be user-friendly between both services. So people won't get lost in the weeds to say they don't know one from another. The goal is to make sure that once Birmingham On Demand has ended, the Max part picks up with continuous service as well. We work with Christina Argo to make sure we looked at what are those kind of choice rider ideas. We wanted to make sure that we was picking up choice riders, but not forgetting about our existing riders as well. So we always have to be careful to make sure that we're tailoring to what our existing riders would like to see, but also attracting new people on board as well. So it has been really, really successful. I mean, blown out of the water just to see those first 2 nights of service. So I can only imagine what we'll see for a full first 30 days. So I'm only anticipating what that looks like as well.
And it's only been operating for 7 days, including today, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Great. So
Okay. So yes, also with the existing Birmingham On Demand, our nighttime expansion is a little bit more wider. So we cover a little bit more. Director Shaw wanted to see a little more coverage on the west, so we went a little farther than I think the existing Birmingham stops at the Marinos cutoff. We're a little bit farther beyond that. We have a lot of coverage more on the west side, more your West End area. Also, a good bit of the Caraway and some of the Finley Boulevard area. So there's a lot more coverage on those ends, kind of widespread, where we're making sure that we're, helping our fixed route, those patrons that ride the fixed route service that may want to come in and, enjoy some of the nightlife. And like Director Shaw talked about with some of our fixed route service cutting off after 7, it is true. We're trying to move away from picking up those 1 or 2 people on a 35 or 40-foot bus and putting them more on a more smaller vehicle to be able to get to their destinations.
yeah, I was glad to see the zone actually extends all the way out to Fairfield. I didn't look at it like a really detailed map, but it looks like it goes all the way essentially to the city limits.
Yes, to the city limits. It's
Okay.
like really, really close. Yeah, we tried it. Her goal was like, how far to Belsman can we get?
Right.
That kind of would have took it too much out, but
Right.
we are looking at this in a phased approach. For one, let's start this now, but we're having many discussions with our other cities because a lot of our other cities are really, when they're seeing this, we talked to the city of Hoover on Friday, and he's like, they want to be on board with this as well. So the goal.
Awesome. I am super glad to hear that.
Yes.
I think this is for a long time, delivery of public transit has been sort of a one size fits all approach, and I think a lot of municipalities are going to welcome this as an option that may work better for their population. So happy that you guys are able to offer that now. I'll tell you, we just came from a meeting of our Jefferson County Coalition of City Councilors, and we talked about as an initiative for 2023, trying to get BJCTA to fulfill its capacity as a true regional transportation provider, and certainly being able to have another service to be able to offer, I think is going to really propel that conversation, because like I said, I think this is a model that's going to work better for our surrounding suburbs. So really glad to hear that.
Yes, yeah, and we'll be coming back next month, as Director Shaw talked about, because we do have some other things that we have to bring before the City Council and the Transportation Committee when we talk about not just our microtransit, but of course our Birmingham Express route, and it's doing great as well. But one of the goals now with that Birmingham Express route is to make connectivity. Every route doesn't have to come into Central Station, so we've identified those routes that need to connect to the east and to the west. So we're working those details out, and we should be rolling some things out by the first or the middle, kind of like no later than February of 2023 as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you guys want to mention anything about transit-oriented development?
Sure.
Thank
you, Martin. You did a great job. Yes, actually, we just won our latest award, our grant award, and I think that was for, is Stephanie here? You want to come up and tell them about the 1.3 million award? And so now we are, and of course I know the Urban Institute just had a meeting that a couple of weeks ago, and so we're looking at actually doing a TOD summit too in the early part of the spring, to bring a lot of experts in and have a discussion with not only them but the municipalities and the city of Birmingham about how and what priorities we will be working with together, so that we can prioritize where we start. But we have lots of plans for TOD with mixed-use housing, our Central Station. We're looking at going up top of the Central Station, as well as doing some things with our latest award that Stephanie can talk about with Woodline.
Thank you, Director Shaw. Good afternoon. So yes, BJCTA just received some great news that we won a $1.6 million transit-oriented development opportunity to connect to our East Transit Center. We're working with Woodline United on this opportunity and Rev Birmingham. The opportunity will look at mixed-use growth and development around transit. We are in the early discussions of what that can look like, educational opportunities, etc. So we really are excited about what's going on in the area already and what transit can bring to the development.
Nice. And one other thing I should probably mention is that in conjunction with the City of Birmingham, we're both applying for the Reconnecting Communities through the Federal Department of Transportation, and that's really going to take a sort of comprehensive look at where we really need to focus our attention in terms of providing public transportation and reconnecting communities.
Yeah, we are working very closely with James Fowler and Christina on those planning, and we're in the planning stages, but I don't know if they're here. Yeah, so we've been working very closely with them on opportunities to ensure that we are at the table as part of those discussions.
Fantastic. In terms of the contract with VIA for on-demand microtransit, what's the term of your contract? Is that annual at this point, or?
So our term is annual, and as you know, VIA is not the long-term solution. it is the short-term response to some of our immediate needs. And we're hoping that eventually that Max on-demand services, we are planning to launch those sometime soon in the next year, but of course there's some legwork we have to do, and we will continue to use VIA. But for right now, we have an annual contract with them, and so they will probably always be as part of our support services. But of course, in the long term, you want to be able to expand public transportation to where it independently can meet the needs of the people based on what BJCTA can offer. Because VIA does not necessarily mean a less expensive solution. And so we're hoping to eventually combine all the VIA program so that it will eventually be under BJCTA.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to translate that for some of the lay folks that may be listening. So currently, VIA is a total solution from vehicles to drivers to the software platform, which is actually the core of their business.
That's right.
And what you're saying is that what you aspire to doing in the future is to have VIA provide the software solution, and then everything else is done in-house through BJCTA.
That's right, exactly, and that's where transportation is moving. Of course, with public transportation, they're offering in the industry various modes of transportation, including BRT, which is a game changer for us because not only do we have the BRT, but we're looking as well to look for opportunities to extend that. And so with that and microtransit and our fixed route and our paratransit, then we should be able to provide a full service that will connect, as Watanji mentioned, as our senior director mentioned earlier, across all platforms. And the key is to consolidate them and make sure they're coordinated together. But VIA offers that right now. And so in the future, though, that's where we're looking to go.
Okay. Might put you in the hot seat for a minute. So historically, the Jefferson County has had two public transit agencies, BJCTA and ClassTran, who provides our rural public transit. I think that model needs to be reevaluated.
You're right on. You're spot on, and it's not the hot seat at all. One of the things that we're doing well at BJCTA is strategic planning, and so we have already been at the table with ClassTran to discuss strategies and ways that we can coordinate and not duplicate services and work together as a partner. And so one way is to look at, as we build our maintenance facility, is to co-locate them with BJCTA. And so we are already in discussions around ClassTran and how we can partner to become one service together.
Right. That's great to hear. I've had to learn some history and trying to figure out, why we have the arrangement that we do today. But I'm glad you're open to that conversation. I think part of the reason that we are here, we have the system that we have today is that your predecessors weren't open to that. So, I think there are a lot of efficiencies to be realized with a unified system, and again, I think in terms of serving other municipalities surrounding the city of Birmingham, that's something that would also be beneficial. Glad to hear that.
We're actually working on a grant right now, and that's the SMART grant, and I'll let Stephanie talk about that.
Yes, we are working on a SMART grant with the Regional Planning Commission and ClassTran as our partner, and we're looking at accessibility options in the greater Birmingham area. And so it's very early on. We just submitted the grant about 2 weeks ago. We should know something better about the application maybe in March, but we are very hopeful, and it was a really good application. So we, as Director Shaw said, we are looking at a lot of options. So we are very hopeful that we can make some impacts for transit in this area.
Okay, great. Excellent. Additional questions? No? All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. Please keep up the good work. I know there's been some efforts towards having an app for BJCCA set up. I've been following the MyStop Mobile.
Yep.
But of course, that's great to know where the buses are, but in terms of being able to get your ticket through the app and everything, that doesn't do that. So.
Nope. We're working on that too. Actually, my capital chief is here, and that's under one of her capital projects for 2023. Raise your hand, Dorinda.
Yes.
And so, as you can see, we're moving toward more efficient technology, efficient services. We are strategic in our planning, and we're looking forward to a brand new day for BJCTA.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
All right. With that, we're going to move on and have Christina Argo come and talk to us about the VIA expansion for the city of Birmingham.
That's right. Christina Argo, the Department of Transportation. Nice to see you guys. I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of do a look back on how our service has performed since we began it in 2019, and then talk about some of the changes and expansions that we have just launched. Do you guys have the presentation?
We do.
Look at that. All right. So this is where we're going to talk about service. We're going to go through a little bit of rider feedback and then go over the future growth plan. So we kicked off service in 2019 with our city center zone, and here we are almost at 2023, and we've seen awesome demand for the service and growth. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see that we're projected to have 70,000 rides in 2022 alone. We've completed over 136,000 rides, average wait time of 9 minutes. Almost perfect on our rider rating. And then if you'll see the blue piece of the bar chart there, that indicates a WAV, the wheelchair accessible vehicle ride. I just thought it was important to see kind of how much of the ridership those riders make up. I was kind of thinking it would be more because we have 2 wave accessible vans, but hopefully the word will get out because I know that is a service that is much needed throughout the city. Any questions on those numbers?
So you're saying we currently have 2 wheelchair accessible vehicles?
We do.
Okay.
Yes. If we want to go to the next slide, we can look at the growth while also checking how the quality has maintained. We haven't really gotten over a 12-minute wait time, even during the busy months this past summer, partly due to the World Games, so our ridership kind of jumped there during the summer months. But so that red line indicates the wait time, and then you can kind of see how we've ramped up over the last 2.5 years with our ridership.
Okay.
And then the next slide is just very positive feedback about riders that love the service. 90% of rider, or 95% would be disappointed if we no longer had an on-demand service, and 92% use on-demand to get to and from school, work, or to run daily errands, which I think is very impressive. 45% of riders disclosed an annual income of below $25,000 a year, and 72% ride for affordability. So that leads us to expansion. So the next slide will show that original city center zone, and then it will show the nighttime service that BJCTA just shared with us that they have launched a week ago. So you can see how those two zones interact with one another. So at 7 p.m., coverage obviously still is maintained in the city center, and then you're just able to go a little bit farther outside the downtown zone. And then the other exciting piece of the expansion is the east side zone. So we have created a zone that hits all of the major points of interest in the east side, 2 or 3 grocery stores, medical facilities, and then you'll see the number 6 there is the Woodlawn Transit Center. So it connects in to the east BRT station and allows people to continue taking public transportation downtown. So if you go to the next slide, you can kind of see how all this is working in the east zone. So they produced a heat map for us, and you'll notice where the darker red dark dots are, the one on the left-hand side, that is the BRT station, that east transit center in Woodlawn. And then if you go to the right-hand side, the one kind of north of the Roebuck sign, that we believe that's the Walmart. So you can kind of see people are traveling up and down that main corridor and on the east side, and then some of the other dots, probably the ones right above right above in Woodlawn is the is it Winn-Dixie or Pig? I always forget. Pig.
Piggly Wiggly.
So the Piggly Wiggly is right in there. So we launched the week of October 31st, and since then we have gained a little bit of traction here with riders and getting the word out. So over 200 requests this week, which was last week, and projecting 60 to 70 rides. Still doing well with our efficiency, which is basically their measurement of utilization. So it's the number of rides per vehicle per hour.
Okay. In terms of trying to get the word out in this eastern area in particular, I know that when we launched the initial project, we had like a team of folks who were going around to different venues, neighborhood meetings, and that sort of thing. Are we doing that with this eastern area?
Yes. Well, we probably could do another push. I don't know if we actually had a dedicated team that was going to neighborhood meetings. I think that we pushed it out through council districts, but perhaps we could engage with our CRRs and get Alice to help spread the word through those folks. Have y'all, I know you attend meetings more regular than I do. Have you heard announcements related to on-demand?
Well, it's kind of tricky this time of year because with the holidays,
yeah.
A lot of neighborhood meetings get canceled. So maybe one thing that we should consider is using Everbridge for those, especially 19 neighborhoods. So it could be as simple as something real short with a link.
That'd be great.
Because it connects to Walmart. People got to get their Christmas shopping done.
That's right. Time's running out. We could make another push in January when the meetings get back to being regular, and could share those materials with Alice so she can put that on her radar for her representatives.
Okay.
We're in a great spot, though. I'm managing the budget closely, so we will be good through the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah.
And so far, so good. So we're doing well.
A couple of points. So please let our VIA partners know that we're extremely appreciative of them working with us to do free rides on Election Day. I think, that's always excellent when we can do that. And in terms of feedback, we had a situation where we had a person who had limited mobility and used scooter to, help and assist in her mobility, and had requested a Birmingham on-demand ride, and there was an extended wait time. And one suggestion that I would have is that if the wait time is going to be, something like beyond a half hour, it would probably just be better to tell the individual, look, we can't provide you a ride, because what ended up happening in this case was the individual had to leave their scooter, at the location and get a ride with somebody else. So, and that also, I'm going to kind of segue to another area. I know that just general ride hailing in terms of Uber and Lyft and other related services, they generally do not have, vehicles that are equipped to accommodate people with, disabilities. And I know that that's now regulated at the state level. But anything that we can do to sort of encourage that locally, I think, that's definitely a need. And as BJCTA is planning to, accommodate, to expand their on-demand services, you guys have a lot of wheelchair accessible vehicles already, but it's definitely, it's a little bit more challenging demographic to serve, but it's definitely a need. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
those are two good suggestions. We did reach out to that writer, so not sure that we actually had a conversation, but we tried. That was that experience was during when we were undergoing our negotiating for the new contract, and so we had to pull back on our service hours a little bit. So unfortunately, that happened a couple of times during that time period for that writer. So
okay.
But on the whole, those kinds of things don't happen. So
okay.
But I do want to say, BJCTA has been a great partner to work with on all this. We're excited that we're able to offer a seamless riding experience for our users here, because as Watanji and Director Shaw mentioned, it's not going to appear different to the user. It's just all one service. It works the same. We are going through kind of a branding exercise right now where we're going to have all the new vehicles we're bringing in to manage the service will all look the same, and we're going to capitalize on that brand recognition that we already have out in the marketplace. So
okay, that's great. So Birmingham On Demand runs till 8 p.m., right?
7 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I was about to ask.
Exactly. That is what has enabled us to be able to do some of the expansion that we had enough money to expand, but that extra hour has enabled us to go a little bit farther. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, it makes it a heck of a lot less confusing too.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a seamless, right, we should all try it. We should hail a ride at 7 and then do it again at 8. It's going to be exactly the same. Same vehicles, same drivers.
Yeah. So is it the origin or the destination that determines the time? I guess it would have to be the origin, right?
The origin.
Yeah. Okay. Because that overlap. I can imagine somebody having a ride that goes over the 7 p.m. mark. Okay.
Yeah, I would think if you're, downtown Birmingham and trying to get to somewhere on the north side, you would have to wait till right after 7 in order to be able to go, if you wanted to go outside the current zone.
Okay.
But conversely, if you're on the north side, wanting to go downtown and it's 7:01, you can pick up the ride in that extended nighttime zone.
Right. Well, so the last week during my council announcements, I communicated to any of the folks that may have been listening that, for a long time, the folks in the city of Birmingham and surrounding area have been wanting to see improvements in public transportation. And improvements are synonymous with change.
That's
and
right.
People like improvements. They tend not to like change, though.
That's true.
But, making things better does mean making things different. And I realize that we haven't, we're only just getting started. And this is not a destination. It's like the first step in a journey. And definitely, it's only the first few brushstrokes on the canvas. It's not the, image that we want to ultimately arrive at. So I'm asking folks to bear with us as we navigate this relationship and begin to fill out the canvas and, really create the public transportation of the future that we want to see here. When you're talking to folks and they're a little confused, just, remind them that getting better involves change. And so you got to embrace the change if you want stuff to get better. So
That's right. It's a good reminder.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next up on our agenda, we have Colin Alexander, who's going to talk to us about the Bloomberg Initiative for Cycling Infrastructure.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what you have before you is a grant resolution. We are going after the Bloomberg Initiative for Cycling Infrastructure, also known as BICI grant. This is a globally competitive grant run by the Bloomberg Foundation. And what they're looking for is, it's a 3-year program for implementation to improve bike infrastructure. They're going to give awards between $400,000 and $1 million to 10 cities globally. They want something that is innovative, and we think we would have a good story to tell here in Birmingham and that we'd be competitive, but we wanted to make sure we had a project that would be innovative and would stand out. So what we're focusing on is First Avenue South to connect Rotary Trail and Railroad Park. What we're proposing in Bloomberg, part of what we've gleaned from reading the NOFO is that the Bloomberg team wants to be hands-on with some of the design. So what we're doing is looking at, it's going to have some kind of combination of bike signaling at the intersections at 20th Street, 19th Street, and 18th Street, and then some form of reclaiming the right-of-way. Could be, one proposal we have is elevated bike paths that are parallel and flush to the sidewalk instead of to the roadway. Another possibility would be to reclaim those left-hand turn lanes on those 3 blocks and turn them into bike boxes, so that with the bike signaling, there's kind of like a bike launch pad allowing the bikes to continue ahead of the flow of traffic onto the shared street. So the applications period is open now. It's open until February 10th, and there is no local match because it's not a federal grant.
And you said they're awarding 10 grants
Globally.
globally. A little competitive.
It's a little competitive, but I think we got a shot.
Okay. Interesting. So you said First Avenue South from Railroad Park to
Rotary Trail.
The 3 blocks. Okay.
Yep, we think those 3 blocks with what we want to do would fit within the budget of what the grant can provide. It's a key corridor that's very difficult to provide dedicated bike infrastructure to, just because of the on-street parking restraints. It's not a very wide street. We did a streetscape there about 5 or 6 years ago. So we're trying to figure out how do we make that connection. And this seemed like a really good opportunity, especially to experiment with bike signaling, which we've never done here in the city.
We just made First Avenue South ped and bike only. Yeah, some of those folks that live in the apartments right there would love that, actually. Anyway, so the grant amount is
It's between $400,000 and $1 million.
400K to, all right.
And this will be going to Budget and Finance this afternoon, so I'm not sure, I know you're a committee of 1 today, I don't know if you need to vote on this and move this forward, or if it's just informational at this point.
It'll go forward as a recommendation of the chair.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And will our Levitate legal team be working on this as well?
Yes, so Levitate's helping us, and we are partnering with Rev and Freshwater Land Trust together.
Okay. Freshwater Land Trust. All right. I think that's all I got.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah. By the way, I did, where was I? We have in addition to 9th Street, we have another protected bike lane.
32nd Street and 7th Avenue, and the Lakeview District. Both of those are part of the...
That's a new one, but there's another one, isn't there? Trying to remember where I was at, where I thought I saw it. Oh, 16th Street.
We have one that's striped with buffering, but not using the on-street parking the way 9th Street is. I don't believe. I'd have to go back and check that.
It's sort of, yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of like, yeah. It's not as, it's 1 block. But
Okay.
I noticed that the other day.
Yeah, some of the bike lanes that were installed adjacent to City Walk have a buffer that was striped in, but I'd have to check to see if there's on-street parking attached with that. I don't remember.
I think so.
Okay.
I was distracted by a camel at Red Mountain Theater, so, I may be wrong. Yes, camel.
That's funny.
Anyway, so yeah, again, continue need to educate folks along 9th Street about the new configuration there.
Yeah, I think that
we need some
spot was pretty successful last week.
Code enforcement as well.
Yeah.
So because there's vehicles parked on the sidewalk.
Right.
So, all right, I think that's it.
Right, thank you.
Yes, one thing I got to ask you about, there was, Marx Brothers had to remove one of the bike repair stands at 32nd Street. And I think they're waiting on Department of Transportation to reinstall it at the new location.
Okay. I remember seeing email chains about that. I think Amy was working with our crews to reinstall. I'll follow up on that for you.
Okay. And I would like to see us continue to do more of those. Redemptive was a partner on that project, and they're in the process of hiring a new executive director at the moment. So, in that transition, I think they're kind of reassessing, what their capabilities are going to be moving forward. But anyway, I just want to say, that I think I had a great experience Saturday morning in Avondale Park, and it was a family of 3 generations, the grandfather, the mom, and the kid, all using the repair stand there in Avondale Park to fix the kid's bike, and it was lovely. So I hope we can continue to do that. Yes, I did get a picture. Yes.
Yeah. Great. It's very cool.
All right, that's all I got, guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming. Any new or old business we need to discuss? Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Blank, right?
I apologize for that. I was at a personnel board meeting
Sure.
at the same time.
No problem.
So, no, how can I had you on the live stream, so I was listening as I was walking over.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we're curious about is, so Jitney is specifically a fixed route.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your route identified?
Yeah, we're going to pick up right outside the Greater Birmingham Convention and Visitors Bureau, go all the way up through the city, probably through Vulcan. I've got it all predetermined, mapped out, and I can just, it's not going to be a drop-on, drop-off type of trolley service like you see in some cities where they say there's multiple. It's just get on, ride around for 90 minutes, and come on back.
Okay, so an actual tour.
It's going to be a tour. Yeah, this is more tourism. This is designed for people who come down for March Madness.
Right.
I wanted to have it up for the World Games, but I couldn't. And just people who are going through downtown and are looking for something to do. The Convention and Visitors Bureau is down there, all the conventions, and it'll only run primarily on nights and weekends because I have a full-time job. It's just me and one trolley. One trolley that got shipped from California. So it's not going to be a very large, but if it grows, we'll see how it does as far as demand. But I like going to cities that have trolleys you can ride to see overviews of cities, so I thought I'd start one here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that going up to Vulcan because, our bus service that goes over to Homewood, the what do we call that? Not the Express, it's the connector. Magic City Connector. Magic City's connector does not go up to Vulcan.
Up that lift, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's tight.
Yeah, that's great. Great to hear. And so the way this works is that this committee hears these and makes a recommendation to the full council. So your application will now move forward with the committee's recommendation, and it'll be on the council agenda in the next week or two.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. Sorry I was late.
No problem.
Thank you.
Glad you could make it. All right. Anything else? Nope. Meeting adjourned.